Hi, Vanessa here and welcome to my channel. Today we're talking about all books that I've read in July. If you're new, please subscribe and don't forget to stay to the end for the book quote of the day. True to summer's vibes, I chose books that were calming, relaxing, and fun. First one up is I Owe You One by our favorite quirky author, Sophie Kinsella. So in I Owe You One, we meet a whole slew of really fun characters. Our primary character is Fixie, and she gets her names because she likes to fix everything. She comes from a family that has a store ever since their dad passed away. They've been trying to holding it together. She has her older brother, Jake, who is a little bit full of himself, and I mean like he wants to make everything very grandiose, and he has all these like wonky ideas to try to expand the store to make it premium, even though they're like this sweet little family-run store. And then she has her sister Nicole, who's very self-aware, except for everyone else around her. She speaks in aspirations, so she's a little bit drifty. We have her sweet mom, who kind of holds all the glue together. And of course, there's a love interest. There's always a love interest in Sophie Kinsella books. And we have Jake's best friend, Ryan, who is kind of glamorous because he's a producer in Hollywood. But then everything kind of changes when Fixie's mom gets sick and she has to step away from the store. Like, she was the glue. And so Fixie, being the fixer that she is, wants to step in, but everything kind of goes haywire, as you can imagine. So we all know that Sophie Kinsella can come up with all these creative, imaginative scenarios, and this book has no shortage of it. There was a lot of fun scenarios on how the siblings were trying to take over the store and how they were clashing heads. But then really what the main story about is the I Owe You part is she meets a guy named Seb, and she happens to save his laptop from a falling ceiling. And so he basically says to her, like, I owe you one, and he writes it on this cute coffee sleeve. So she approaches him to try to get a job for her love interest, and it kind of spirals from there, where they keep doing each other favors and keep owing each other one. I think it's really sweet how it plays out. I mean, if you read any of Sophie Kinsella books, you know that you're in for a treat when it comes to fun and just a whole bunch of ridiculousness. I really love reading the inner monologue of Fixie because it's so relatable, and I feel that this is a really fun read for summer. The second one is The Proposal by Jasmine Guillory. She also wrote The Wedding Date, and so these kind of have an extension of the same kind of friends. We meet Nicole and her boyfriend of 3 months at a baseball game where he decides to propose to her on the stadium board, and she's totally embarrassed and says no, of course. And she kind of gets left there where this media comes to kind of like embarrass her in front of the TV. So this guy, Carlos, and his sister come in and save her, pretend to know her, and kind of swoop her away. So that's how Carlos and Nicole meet. They both have a lot going on in their lives. So she's an aspiring writer and he's really into taking care of his family. He's also a doctor. And so they both agree that this is going to be something casual. But I think what I really loved and I thought was cute about this romance is it really focused on like the courting part. Like, I love romances where they're just getting to know each other and they're not sure if they want to be together, but they have all these little moments that make them like consider like, oh, are we or are we not together? And then of course, all romances have great friends. Nicole has great friends. Sure, Carlos has a great like family, like big loving family, and so it's just really interesting dynamic to see them together, and it's a fun, flirty romance read if you're in the mood for that. A great beach read. And the third book is Social Misconduct by S.J. Maher. Thanks to my friend Toa for the recommendation. And oh my goodness, guys, I think this is your worst online nightmare to happen. We meet Candace, who works for an advertising agency. She's entry level and just got her big break from her boss. She receives a new phone as part of her work, and a few days later, the nightmare begins. She had her very private photos posted online, and I mean
private photos.
So Candace doesn't really know what is happening or where the hacker is getting her information, and he keeps texting her to do these kind of like lewd things, and she just can't get away from it. So when she tries to wipe her phone and she tries to talk to the IT guy, but then as the days go on, it just gets worse and worse, and it's derailing her career and her personal life, as you can imagine. And the story flips between past and present day because somehow there's a murder involved as well, and I'm not really sure how they got there. So usually I can see how things happen. I piece together things, or I try to anyway. But I really could not figure out who the hacker was, what murder occurred, or what happened until like the very end. And it totally thought it was relevant to like us today because we have so much stuff on our phone. And as I was reading it, I kind of got like worried about like my own personal privacy and things like that. So I thought this was a fun and very relevant read. And the last book I read for July was Mrs. Everything by Jennifer Weiner. I did do a full book review if you want to go check out that video. But like I had said, this book was so empowering. It follows Joe and Becky Kaufman, who are sisters from a very young adolescence age into their senior years, and I'm talking the whole lifetime. So we get to witness so many of their milestones happen, and a lot of trigger issues were addressed in this book, and it had a platform to do so because it covered so many decades where so much change had happened for women especially. So I felt very empowered, very emotional during this book. Like I had said, a lot of issues involving generational differences, sexuality, preferences, being a woman and looking for social equality, also a lot of race equality issues as well, and molestation, rape, partnership, domestic infidelities. Like I said, a whole range of things were covered in this book, and it was written so beautifully from two very different point of view characters. So I think it's a very enjoyable read. I definitely recommend that as well. Well, July was a great month for reading, and I'm sure August will be too. If you have any book recommendations, please comment below and let me know so I can add it to my list. As always, happy reading, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!